Welcome to your extra therapy session now.
If I write songs honestly about the experiences I've had, then it makes it less hurtful if people are like, oh, you're depressed, or you're this, or you're that.
Time loses meaning when you're as old as I am.
If you're not attractive, don't even try, you're not going to make it.
You're listening to the Baascast Briefs. Just because it's short doesn't mean it can't be fun.
Welcome back to the Baascast. My name is Baas de Beer and this is my cast. Today on the cast, I have Sarah Jade. I mean, there's nothing much more to say than she's brilliant, she's cool, and she's sitting right here. Hello.
Hi, you're so nice.
I know, they pay me to say nice things. Oh, wait, they don't. But if you would like to pay me to say nice things on the Baascast, get in touch and I can make you a sponsor. Thank you so much to the unnamed sponsor that refuses to be made famous, but thank you for supporting the Baascast. You're really, really making it possible to do this type of thing, and I appreciate you. Anyway, back to my glorious guest with the blue hair. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm a teeny tiny bit sick, but good.
I've got a good suggestion for you, though.
Yeah.
Instead of being sick, right?
Got you.
Don't be sick. There we go, solved.
I'll try my best.
So, Sarah Jade.
Yes,
when
sir.
I met you, you were on an open mic stage,
Yes.
figuring out whether or not to enjoy the stage situation and seeing how other musos played with you. And then at that same time, you also did things like give some guitar lessons, if I'm not mistaken, and did stuff. Now you're a performing genius. You're at least known in, like 4 bars in Pretoria. No, I'm kidding. Tell me about your journey quickly in a nutshell. How did you get going? How is it treating you? And, what you've been doing?
So I met you the one day at my first ever open mic, and you recommended me to another band. So I ended up in a rock band after singing my little open mic songs. Started with this rock band called Sun South. We're no longer together, but yeah, it was a great introduction to the scene for me. And then I kind of branched out into my singer-songwriter solo career, which has been super exciting.
People seem to be really liking your vibe.
Oh, I'm glad.
Every single time that I've seen a show of yours, whether it is you performing at an open mic or, at a featured event or so, you always have a very loyal supporter base in front of the stage. Do you think that is because of, like where you started at the open mics that you got them there, or is that the conscious effort that you put in through your career to build that active audience? Where's the balance for that?
So I think, with the crowd that I started out with first, when I came into the scene, it was a very different crowd to what I am in now. So I feel very lucky that I started off with your crowd who's been doing this forever and ever and who are so talented and who have a lot of wisdom and knowledge about the scene. So I've got some support from you guys. And then on the flip side, I'm also part of like a younger, more like less experienced crowd who has a lot of...
She just called us old, guys. I'm telling you now. Back in my day. Anyway.
Who is a bit more... optimistic, and they keep me optimistic. So I have both sides of the coin, which I feel very lucky about. I think I try and be a nice person, and I try and be as memorable as possible, and try and include people in what I'm doing, and just create a connection with as many people as I can. And I think that's why people like me.
Well, I mean, you escalated very quickly in the scene compared to some other people that literally were playing open mics with you, not for lack of talent.
Yeah.
None of them are bad, but I do think that you excel to a certain extent, and I'll give you the kudos because of the work that you put in.
Thank you.
If you see you're on social media doing things, if you're not busy punting a song that exists, you're literally busy punting shows or even just places where you'll be, and you're literally ingraining yourself in the scene to the point of there's almost, I want to say, not a venue or a band that's relevant to you in this area that has not heard of you.
Thanks.
And technically, you've only been doing this for what, 4 years?
2 years.
Okay.
2 years.
Time loses meaning when you're as old as I am, according to her. 2 years. I mean, it is exciting. What so far do you think has been the biggest challenge and the biggest motivation for you in the last 2 years?
Okay, this is going to sound a bit deep and dark and like pessimistic, but I think liking myself and loving myself enough to think highly of myself and to put myself out there and not be like, oh, people are going to hate you. People are going to think you're bad. People are going to, don't write this song. No one's going to like it. Like, I have very negative thoughts that come into my mind very often. And sometimes that is my downfall. I'm like my biggest enemy. And it makes doing simple things very difficult because I'm always against myself, even when most people aren't against me. I believe that they are, and I think that's my biggest downfall. And yeah, my biggest challenge, but what motivates me is the people who I play for and the people that I can connect to with my music, because I write songs about such emotional topics that can feel very lonely when you're in that situation. I create like an outlet for myself and then for other people to kind of realize, okay, it's not so lonely if someone else is dealing with it. And I think that's my biggest motivation, even when I'm feeling rap and even when I'm crying before I go on stage, I do it to help other people as well, which is my biggest motivation.
That is such a cool answer because you know what I've found is whenever I have a more experienced guest, as you so politely try to call us old, whenever I've got an older guest on my whenever I've got a slightly older guest on my podcast, right, I tend to get the version of the industry that's the better excuses, the better stories of failure, better stories of success, how they manage to mitigate challenges. But one thing that I don't always see in them is the hope and the fresh approach that I see when I speak to the younger guys.
Yes.
And I think that's for two reasons. One, absolute blatant childlike naivety. But to a greater extent, I think we live in a time where hope is there for those that want it. And that is why I honestly try and learn from my younger guests to not only stay positive, but to see the positivity and the opportunities. And the way in which you do your art is so much more open than the jaded old-timers. So I suppose the question that I would like to ask of you is something that I, at a tender young age of 42, am still struggling with. I cannot get myself to be that brutally open and honest with my music on a stage that I will go and sing about shit that actually matters. You, on the other hand, I mean, you get on a stage and it's like a therapy session. You tell the stories, you are open-minded, more open-minded too, open-hearted about what you, it's like an open-heart surgery. And you tell people, these are my vulnerabilities here. I give it to you in the form of music. How do you do that? How do you get to the point of switching off your ego to the point that you can share that with the crowd?
It's going to sound very strange, but I see it as a form of both like selflessness. I hate saying that because like it's like, yes, I'm so selfless.
I'm the most humble person in the world. No, but I hear you. Yeah?
Like, because it's such a lonely place, I want to do it for other people and put myself and my feelings aside for a second and help other people feel less alone, and that makes it a bit easier for me. But then on the other hand, I kind of see it as a validation type of thing, like my feelings are valid. I'm putting them out there for people, so they have to be real, they have to be there, because sometimes I doubt myself and I'm like, am I really depressed? Am I really anxious? Am I really sad? And sometimes, you know, I make myself think that it's like for attention, like this is just for attention. But when I put it out there for people and I tell people about it, it's like, okay, this is real now. Like it just makes me feel a bit better about myself, if that, it's in a weird, twisted way.
It kind of does. It's kind of like just saying, listen, it's not just you, it's us.
Exactly.
But I mean, when I try and be honest in songs, I feel like I have to hide it behind convoluted artistry. I have to write the poetry in such a fashion that I understand what I'm writing, and I honestly don't care if you get what I'm writing. But again, coming back to your lyricism and your singer-songwriter vibes, is when you write a song, you basically call a spade a fucking shovel. You know, you don't hide behind, I mean, you write it nicely, but you don't hide behind clever, hidden phrases to try and make people guess, am I sad?
Yeah.
You know, you're basically walking on stage saying, I'm sad. Are you sad with me? Or I'm happy. Just want to put it out. Not all your songs are about, oh, I want to cry. Has that helped you personally in your journey to be, I mean, you have opened up, I know for a fact you've got some mental struggles and some things in your life that you're dealing with. How has that enabled you to deal with it? How has that empowered you, firstly, as a musician, or I actually want to say, firstly, as a woman in this industry and in your own personal life? The fact that you're so open, has that had a positive role?
I'd say so. I mean, like you said, like it's like calling it what it is. I've actually heard I've heard a song before, like by one of my favorite artists and songwriters, and she kind of said that she makes the jokes about herself first so that other people can't make them and that it doesn't hurt as much. And I feel like, in a way, if I write songs honestly about the experiences I've had, then it makes it less hurtful if people are like, oh, you're depressed, or you're this, or you're that. So in a way, it's a little bit negative, but on the other hand, it helps me create connections with a lot of people. And yeah, it helps me to express myself a bit and get those emotions out instead of just bottling them up, which I feel like so many people do. But yeah.
No, I mean, I think that is a very healthy part of the industry. It's as I said, the stage can be therapy. But you're part of a thing coming up, Galpalooza.
Yes.
Right? All-female cast, all-female lineup.
All-female cast.
Yeah, it's an act. No, all-female lineup happening 9th and 10th of August at Klitsgras, and pre-party happening right here at Railways Cafe, where we are filming it currently. Though we've got a pre-Galpalooza warm-up festa on the 4th of August, right? Now, being made acutely aware of the fact that, look, women and men definitely have a different, or at least a moderately different experience of the music industry. And I know that many people are very quick to point out that, guys have it so much easier because they can carry their own speakers in. And let's be honest, not all women want to and or can. Like Jolene mentioned in the previous Baascast Brief, she wishes she could carry speakers. That would make her a more rounded entertainer experience. So making it easier for her to get some bookings. What has been your experience as a female in this industry? Have you had more positives because you're a woman? Have you had more challenges?
This is going to sound a bit controversial, because there definitely are positives and negatives, although I feel, for me personally, as there aren't many female artists in the industry as there are men, 90%, well, I wouldn't say 90, but quite a few of the artists are men, I feel like it definitely gives the females an opportunity to set themselves apart, become more recognized, because how many ladies are there that have blue hair, How many artists are there who are females, who do what they do, who are good at it? How many are there compared to a vast sea of men? It really sets us apart, and I feel like I'm very grateful for that, and that it's not only just about like, oh, you have tits, or like you're pretty, or you're this, you're that. It's, I don't know, it just makes you a bit more unique in this very industry where you need to be unique to stand out. And then I think for the negatives, I feel like there's another artist who is a female I think she's in like the metal community, and she made like a Facebook post the other day about how femininity and being girly and being pink and being like sparkly is looked down upon. Like, you are seen as lesser than because you're not creating mosh pits, because you're
especially if you're in a serious, say serious music scene, not just, Taylor Swift. Sorry, Taylor fans. Please don't kill me, Taylor fans. Of which you are one.
Exactly.
So,
I am.
No, but what I mean is, I get where that concern comes from, because you are painted as the airy-fairy, bubbly, hubbly, glittery, pony version of what a real rock star should be.
Yeah.
But let's be honest here. Have you used your femininity, your beauty? I mean, let's be honest, you are not ugly by any traditional standard. That's my courteous way of calling you a pretty woman. But have you had a situation where you could genuinely admit to me that, being pretty has put you in an advantaged position over, someone that might not be as attractive?
Yes. It sounds really bad to say, because I don't think very highly of myself very often, but because you said it...
Which is why I have to ask the questions.
Because you said it, I feel like there are a few instances, where it makes it a lot more easy for me to have people recognize me and know who I am and listen to my music, because I don't know, they think they stand a chance or something like that, which sounds horrible.
Welcome to your extra therapy session now.
Yeah, I do. To answer your question, I do think that it helps me a bit.
Do you ever use it to your advantage on purpose? You're allowed to say yes or no.
Sometimes, yes. Not all the time.
It's not a
all
bad
the time.
thing, just saying. When you admit to it, I just want to point out, I don't think it's a bad thing to use your potential positives to your in your favor. I mean, like we mentioned earlier, I'm big, strong, and tall. I can carry all my speakers by myself and do a setup in 10 minutes, whereas it might take you 10 minutes longer. But so if you use your face and say, I'm pretty, see my poster, buy my music, I suppose it's just the same as someone having a very rich daddy making use of his money to say, I can shoot all my music videos at no cost to me, you know? So that begs the question then, do you think it is more challenging for men or women that are not visually blessed to make an impact in the scene? You know, do ugly people get less chances?
I think there definitely is what we call like pretty privilege, where just like it's a fact, like backed up by science, that people tend to opt towards someone who is more visually attractive. Although I don't think that it has everything to do with being successful. I know a lot of people that might not be seen as the most attractive person in the room, who are still killing it, who are still making the most out of everything, their talent. And I definitely wouldn't say that if you're not attractive, don't even try, you're not going to make it, because that's so far from the truth. Although in the same breath, I have to admit that there is pretty privilege, and just by nature, that's how it goes. But yeah.
Look, I mean, I think there's a balance. And as I said, you know, everyone has to use what counts in their favor for themselves. But I think, especially given the nature of what social media is at the moment, there's always going to be the contingent of egos and stuff getting more attention than they're worth, because they stick out the tongue and flash the tits, right? But for a serious musician, I think it's easier to get noticed initially. You know, pretty smile, looking the part. But if music lovers notice you, they will very quickly get tired of mediocre music.
Yes, for sure.
To get noticed is easier if you have the pretty, if you have the money for the good music video, if you have the big flashy marketing campaign. But I think for me, it comes down to good music will always keep music fans entertained.
Yes, I agree.
So I think sometimes it is more difficult for a pretty person or a rich person or someone blessed with some sort of privilege to continue making great music. Take a look at all of your really outstanding artists. And I mean, most of them come from some sort of a disadvantaged background. Some of them had to work extra hard to be there. What would you currently say is your biggest challenge that you have to focus on, to work hard at, in order to attain whatever is your next level?
I think my mental health is definitely like the one thing that I need to work on the most in order to get anywhere higher, because if your mental state is only here, you're not going to get any further than there in terms of everything in your life. But I personally think there are definitely a lot of things that I can grow on, in terms of like both my wisdom and knowledge in the industry, and knowing, okay, it's good to do this, it's bad to do this. Just certain etiquettes that you can only learn with trial and error. And I definitely think singing, songwriting, guitaring, everything can always improve and be better. And I always look at each gig as hard as it is for my perfectionistic self, to go into a gig and be like, okay, it's okay if it's not perfect, because I tell myself it has to be perfect. I try and flip it a bit so that I look at each gig as an opportunity to get better and to learn more and to improve. And if I do mess up, or if I do make a mistake, I learn from it. I write it down. I'm like, okay, I cannot do this at the next gig. And I just find things to change every time and get better at.
See, that is where I say the youthful optimism comes in, because I can see that you are not jaded by the experiences that you've had that make it, oh, I need to find a way to get better in midst the pressures of the industry. And I will commend you on that as we draw this chat to a close. You know, it is refreshing, inspiring, and motivating to see someone with obvious challenges that they are facing come out on top of it by being honest about it. And I just want to say I commend you for that, and thank you for sharing your journey with us.
Thank you so much.
What's next for you? What are we looking forward to?
So I have, well, by the time that this comes out, I'll have a couple gigs that are already done and gone. But I'm playing at Bailey's and opening for Arne Carstens on the 28th of July.
Arne Carstens is such a legend. I had such a lekker chat with him on my Baascast a while ago.
I saw.
Yeah.
It's an absolute dream.
Click there. Wait. Somewhere there's going to be a thing to click on. Anyway, yes. What else?
Yeah, then I have Galpalooza, obviously. Yeah, a bunch of mixed match gigs here and there. I'm playing at Railways every first Saturday of every month, which is super cool, a great opportunity for me to have regular gigs. Yeah, then for now, that's all I can really say.
Well, I just look forward to whatever music you bring out again and whatever open heart surgery you have in public. Thank you so much for joining me on this Baascast. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, guys, for tuning in. Thank you for supporting this Baascast. And again, if you've got any desire to see more of these and you would like to, send some money my way, there are ways to do that in the form of advertising on the Baascast. Get in touch and I will tell you how. Thank you so much, Audio Tools, once again, for sponsoring the camera gear for this shoot. I really appreciate it. Thanks, Railways, for hosting us. I still need a proper sign-off. I don't have one.